Hi everyone. Hopefully everyone enjoys the better audio quality as I am recording not late at night. This is the first series reveal of PR Moves, in a series that will take up a good 70% of our videos on the channel. These are called DTAs, or Discussion Theory Analysis. The premise kind of explains itself, but just know this. We'll discuss NFL news and transactions from the week. Then theorize about the future of these decisions and analyze about their importance. And today, we capture the curious case of Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. Jameis Winston is certainly an anomaly. He's Tampa Bay's all-time leading passer and had one of the weirdest seasons I've ever seen. He became the 8th quarterback in NFL history to pass for over 5,000 yards, joining a club of many including Tom Brady, Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. With this, he had an all-star cast of wide receivers, being Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard, and Peyton Barber in the backfield. But he thought he needed to be more special and created his own club called the 30 for 30 Club, all for quarterbacks that have managed to throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in a single season. This highly mediocre season in Tampa, because due to the fact he threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, typically a season that you would see win MVP, he even had more total yardage than Lamar Jackson. A season that he would win MVP, he ended up getting replaced. Highly mediocre is what I decided to call it, but it could be either a horrible season or a great season, depending on how you look at it. They decided to go for Tom, greatest of all time, Brady, and Jameis would go into draft week without being on an NFL roster. But here come the Saints. On April 28th, 2020, the division rival New Orleans Saints decided to take a crack at solving the great mystery of the turnover bakery of Jameis Winston. But they were coming off an odd season themselves. A season where they managed to win their own division for the third time with probably the greatest collection of single quarterbacks in the entire league. That being Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, and Taysom Hill. All three quarterbacks are definitely deserved of a starting role in the NFL. I think it's easy to say that. As Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, and Taysom were all up for contracts heading into the 2020 offseason. Taysom, as he was a restricted free agent, managed to receive a first-round tenure, basically meaning that any team would have to trade a first-round pick and pay Taysom Hill the same amount of money that the matched Saints would have to. Teddy Bridgewater would end up being signed over to the Carolina Panthers, and Drew Brees would return on a 2-year, $51 million contract for what's likely his final year. Drew Brees has already signed a broadcasting contract with one of the major broadcasters, and it's clear that if this is clearly his Super Bowl or bust season, and Sean Payton clearly wants to establish a similar quarterback core around Drew Brees with a more traditional backup in Jameis Winston and the Taysom Hill Swiss Army knife of the team. Taysom Hill has gotten a lot of recognition as one of the better skill players in the entire league. And when I say skill player, I mean he can literally do anything. He has great speed for a quarterback, running in the low 4.5s, which is the same figure as many running backs. He can catch. He plays in many tight end packages for the New Orleans Saints. He also is excellent on special teams, blocking multiple punts and kicks this past season, completely proving that he is worth of a 2-year, $21 million extension, with the first year having $16 million guaranteed. Along with this, Jameis Winston was signed, of course, his 1-year deal, and Drew Brees with his 2-year, $50 million deal. This clearly means that the New Orleans Saints once again have 3 quarterbacks in their backfield. Of course, the first one being Drew Brees, who is the likely starter barring any injury. The second one being Jameis Winston. Now, I feel like Jameis could take a major step forward in this New Orleans offense. He hasn't truly played, funny enough, in an offense that puts the wide receiver open for him. Offenses ran under both Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians in 2019, both required Jameis to make throws to receivers that were playing in cover 1, which proved to not be the case a lot of the time. Jameis Winston sees cover 1 and cover 3 coverage, sees that they could be anywhere in that zone, and throws the ball hoping that Howard, Evans, or Godwin came down with the ball. It clearly didn't work, and he nearly threw 2 interceptions a game because of it. Taysom Hill is not a traditional quarterback. He's so much of a not traditional quarterback that even Rams kicker Greg Zuerlein has thrown more NFL passes than Taysom Hill. And he is so much of a not traditional quarterback that in terms of passes caught by New Orleans Saints players, Jameis Winston has thrown more interceptions to Saints players that Taysom Hill has even thrown to them in the first place. Now, this is important because in this 2020 offseason, it's clear that Sean Payton tried to make Taysom Hill the heir apparent to Drew Brees. And this is really going to make things complicated because even though Taysom Hill is entering his 5th year in the league this year, he saw time with the Green Bay Packers before, he definitely has not played a traditional quarterback role. This has definitely led to many people thinking that Jameis coming in could learn a system developed by one of the better offensive minds in the league in Sean Payton that gets his wide receivers open, being put with one of the other best wide receivers in the league in Michael Thomas, as well as the fact he has Emmanuel Sanders, Tre'Quan Smith, Alvin Kamara, and Jared Cook there on the roster, could lead to something deadly in the upcoming years for Jameis, who is only turning 27. He's technically the youngest quarterback on the roster besides the drafted rookie that they decided to go with, a rookie that will likely start on the practice squad as he was drafted late in the 6th round. Now, truly, what does this all mean for the Saints? Well, it means that Sean Payton does have a plan of what he wants. He did not pay Taysom Hill the full quarterback contract money because, personally, I don't think Sean Payton has belief that Taysom Hill can be the starting quarterback for the Saints past this year. If he truly did believe in Taysom Hill would have started over Teddy Bridgewater, and Teddy Bridgewater would have not been sent to Carolina this past offseason because Teddy Bridgewater is a better overall quarterback than Taysom Hill. Even though Taysom Hill is a freak athlete, there's no denying that. Jameis Winston will have a chance to sit behind Drew Brees. He's going to be 2 years younger than Taysom Hill, maybe more like 2.5, but 2 years younger in terms of a number. And that will lead to Jameis likely getting the starting job, could get extended over Taysom Hill in the 2021 offseason. Why this is important is more because I feel like you saw what happened with Teddy Bridgewater this past season. Bridgewater came in, he had a phenomenal 5 games in the system, and a young offensive savvy coach in Matt Rule picked him up to go to Carolina. Jameis, if having to fill in that role, could definitely come in and be that new fresh face for a franchise. And dare I hate to say it could be a team like the Chicago Bears or the LA Chargers or the LA Rams or the San Francisco 49ers. If they need a shakeup at quarterback, you could definitely see Jameis Winston, if he manages to prove himself in this Sean Payton system in either preseason or regular season play, could definitely be the answer that some of these teams need at quarterback. Now to wrap this up here quickly. Jameis Winston being signed to the Saints is certainly, I think, one of the better moves of the offseason, because it's mutually beneficial. Jameis will get a chance to learn under arguably the greatest statistical quarterback of all time and learning in a very quarterback-friendly system. And the Saints will get a chance to see if they have someone who's younger that can fit that Drew Brees type role. Because funny enough, this is the first time in NFL history 2 5,000-yard passers have been on the same team and were both starters and both first-round picks. Taysom Hill will likely be out of New Orleans after his 2-year contract, and he'll likely play both years of his 2-year contract. I just really don't see him having the first-round tenure used on him. It just doesn't seem likely for a team now to... He's not a restricted free agent anymore. They're going to have to find a way to get Taysom Hill off the Saints. And I think when Taysom Hill will be 32 at the end of his contract, he's already going to be hitting a decline in terms of age. He's on the wrong side of 30. It could be clear to see that maybe Taysom Hill is going to forever be that gadget player for the Saints, and maybe he only has this one good season. And that's why I think Jameis going to the Saints could be just a perfect situation for both of those rosters. I do just want to thank everyone for tuning in to this first video format, first TDA, DTA, TDA is what I do in English class. This first DTA, discussion theory analysis. This is definitely an experiment episode. We're hoping this can go well. Next week's episode will be discussing some of the rookie quarterbacks drafted in the first and second round. I'm really excited to get into that, get into research. I will be doing links in the video description for more information if you would like to learn about contracts for Jameis, Taysom, and Drew, and the situation that really surrounds New Orleans. Please be sure to check me out on Twitter with the username NotRoz, and on Instagram with p.r.moves, where I post daily NFL content, and even will discuss some of the same stuff in these videos, post the better clips of these videos into the Instagram page. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next Friday for DTA number 2. Thank you.